VikesNow, this is our Saturday night spot, and we have Ameer back, and I'm going to tell you the keynote reason he's back. He came on our show about a week or two before the draft, and he said, "Hear me out. I want to come on your show. I got a hot take." And I was like, "All right, what is it?" And he said, "Hey, what if JJ McCarthy slides all the way back?" And he damn near did to the Vikings. I was wickedly impressed with that prognostication because I did not see it happening. So we want 5 takes from him about the Vikings since he seems to know what he's talking about. Foremost, Ameer, you are in Egypt right now. How are you, man?
Great. How are you guys doing tonight?
We are fantastic. We're anxious to hear what you're going to unload on us here, prediction wise. Brevin, how are you, man?
Great. Another normal Saturday where nothing crazy happened whatsoever.
Oh yeah, Amir, you got out from underneath the chaos here in America. It'll be awaiting you when you come back. But yeah, we had a unbelievably weird day.
Aha. Yeah. I just started notifications this morning. So yeah, I think I might know what you're talking about.
Hell yeah. Very weird. All right, man. Here's what we're gonna do. You don't have to rank these, but we're gonna ask you for your 5 predictions that are in the ilk or the vein of your McCarthy prognostication, because we want to know what to make of these 2024 Vikings, and then Brevin and I will kind of follow up with you on each one. So out of the gate, on your list of 5, what's one of them? One of your predictions for these Vikings?
The first one, I'm going to borrow from a recent VikesNow guest. I
Okay.
don't believe in stealing. I only stealing is wrong. But I believe recent VikesNow guest Phil Mackey said on
Mm-hmm.
his own podcast platform, Score North, something similar. But I'm going to expand upon this. T.J. Hawkinson will not play until after the bye, after the London game against the New York Jets. However, in the 12 games that he will play after coming back, he will still finish top 3 amongst all tight ends in the NFL, across 17 games in receiving yards and touchdowns.
Wow. Yeah. that is that direct from Phil, or did you
No,
modify it?
I expanded it.
Okay.
He said something. He didn't go as ambitious. I'm trying to remember exactly what he said. This was, I want to say, a month ago on Purple Daily, but I expanded upon this. This is I'm again. This is not stealing. It's borrowing because I made it my own.
Mm-hmm.
But I think he said. I think all he said was after the buy, and he said something. He said something. I can't remember what else he said, but the rest of it is my own. I think just based on his production, I think Justin Jefferson's elite. Addison's looking better, but I feel like defenses are going to focus more on those 2 guys than Hawkinson. He's going to get back in shape. But you look at Hawkinson's history of production prior to the unfortunate injury in week 16 last season.
Mm-hmm.
He was really awesome. Actually, I think he was on pace. He was on pace for a career year. I think he had like 932 yards prior to the injury. So just looking at his production and looking at just thinking that defenses are going to be keyed in on stopping Jefferson and Addison, and depending on who's playing at quarterback, Darnold. I think it'll be Darnold, but I think JJ sneaks in at some point. Both those guys, they're gonna be taught by KOC and McCown to throw across the middle. There'll be some deep shots, but I feel like there'll be a lot of intermediate routes.
Yeah. Notably, Hawkinson, in my opinion, and I think the stats back this up, was the only Vikings offensive playmaker that was quarterback proof. It didn't matter, mainly because Josh Dobbs couldn't throw outside the numbers, but he could throw in the middle, and Hawkinson was there. And then Hawkinson was on pace, almost like there, to be the first 1,000-yard Vikings tight end since Joe Sensor, I think in 1980 or 1981. So he was already there. Brevin, what do you think of this take? Is this too bold?
I feel like if you watch Vikes now, or if you know me, I am not as high on TJ Hawkinson as a player as many Vikings fans are. I mean, I'm not. He's a very good player. He's one of the best tight ends in the league. There's no taking away from that. But even then, just looking at the rest of the tight end position, there's only those like couple elite guys like Kittle is going to be in the top 3 production. Mark Andrews, you would assume, is going to be there. Kelsey seems to be on a decline if he's not playing in a playoff game, but even his decline, he's still going to be around that top 3. So I don't think it's crazy at all. Hawkinson is one of those guys he's kind of volatile, and Kittle has the same type of game. So it's just the tight end position these days is he'll have a 40-yard game, and then he'll have a 130, 140-yard game, and then he'll have some 60, 70-yard games. So if Hawkinson can be that safety valve for Darnold, if they can get him going vertical more, which is how they should be using TJ Hawkinson, then I don't think it's crazy. 12 games, and he's God knows he gets his targets, no matter who's playing quarterback. So I don't think it's crazy at all. I kind of like it. Very ambitious to start.
Yeah, they for your prediction to come true, Hawkinson would basically have to have probably about 80 yards per game,
Yeah.
with very few hiccups. So Amir, we like it. That one is incredibly optimistic. We're jotting it down. What's number 2?
Number 2 is a bit more simpler.
Mhm.
Write this down. The number 3 receiver on this team is not currently on the roster and will be
Ooh,
acquired
wow.
via trade. You look at what Quasi has done each of the last 2 training camps. He's acquired. I don't want to say lost toys is the right word, but guys who were former first round picks. Their teams gave up on them. I actually have one guy in particular who fits that specific bill of what Quasi has done the last 2 years. Traylon Burks of the Tennessee Titans will become a Minnesota Viking.
I
It
love
won't cost
Amir.
much. I think maybe like a late round pick swap, something like that. But I just have a feeling Traylon Burks fits the bill. And if it's not Traylon Burks, and actually another guy who fits the bill, but is not a first round pick, so I don't know if that qualifies. People keep saying Robert Woods might get cut or might get traded. I'm not sure about that, so that's why I feel like Burks is a safer prediction. But uh, whether it's neither here or there, just mark this down. Whoever will line up as the primary receiver 3 is not currently on this roster and will be acquired by Quasi.
I'm gonna let you have that one, Brevin.
Yeah, and the reason I fist pumped Amir here is if you read Vikings territory, Dustin asked all of us within the umbrella with the writing, is a player that we foresee on the Vikings roster kind of out of nowhere that you don't really hear any noise about. And I feel like even going back a couple months worth of Vikes Now content, like
Mhm.
Traylon Burks has been mentioned. So I fist pump Amir here because I completely agree with this. I don't know what it's gonna take to get Traylon Burks because his production hasn't matched where he was drafted. But he's still only 24 years old, so you might have to come away with giving up like a decent mid-round draft pick for him. But that's who I predicted on that Vikings territory article. So me and Amir are in lockstep here.
So I know the origins of this. It was Bleacher Report about 2 months
Hmm.
ago, maybe 3 months ago, 2 or 3 months ago. They came up with some article about trades we'd like to see, and it had Traylon Burke to the Vikings for a 7th rounder. And we all saw that. We were like, hell yeah, baby, because 7th rounders. I mean, who cares? And so that heightened the conversation, and it makes sense. Tyler Ireland and I were doing an episode about 6 weeks ago, and we accidentally came up with the idea of Lewis Seen for Traylon Burks because the Titans need safety at depth at safety, and the Vikings need a
Well,
WR3.
not anymore. They got after they got
Yeah.
Adams.
Oh yeah, that's a good point. That's a very good point, in fact.
Hmm.
And then, so yeah, scratch that from the record. They don't need Seen anymore. But then the price, seventh rounder might be a little like we're getting too happy with the prediction there. But then again, I think I saw something not long ago where the Titans were like, yeah, he's gonna be a special teams guy for us, and he's gonna thrive. And it's like, really, I
Hmm.
don't think he's excited by that. And all of this just coagulates because the Vikings didn't sign anybody besides Trent Sherfield in free agency, and then in a draft that had tons of these types of WR3 guys, we said no thanks. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it would be a crazy thing to take a flyer on a guy that has looked decent at times, but then he had some injuries and they didn't use him. And now he's gonna, if he's lucky, he'll be a WR4. Yeah, it's a real crowded house there for the Titans.
Quasi loves a reclamation project, and Amir mentioned it best. I mean, you look at Ross Blacklock, you look at
Mhm.
Jalen Rager, he's trading mid-late round picks for those guys. I think Traylon Burks easily would have the highest ceiling out of those three in terms of reclamation projects.
And you would think one of them is due to hit one of those trades because the first two didn't pan out.
You
So
would think.
yeah, thankfully the Hawkinson one was pretty sweet. All
Yeah.
right, hit us with number 3, Amir. First, so far so good, my man.
Number 3. Write this. Keep this one in mind. I think the two guys that were acquired, Grenard and Van Ginkel, they will have more sacks combined than Hunter and Houston. That's probably not as bold of a take. I just think based on their previous production, but paired with just the kind of mentality that Flores has, I think he's going to use those guys in a very bold way. And I think Turner is going to be an impact guy from week one. I'm not sure if Turner will get the sack numbers. I feel like he'll for sure at the beginning of his career will for sure get a ton of pressure numbers, but that'll open up spots for the other two guys. And I wouldn't be surprised if Van Ginkel, when healthy, is lined up in exotic positions. And I'm just not sure. I love Hunter as a player, and I know he's next to Will Anderson in Houston. But I feel like just this is more a bet on Flores and on the talent of Grenard and Van Ginkel that I think they will combined have more sacks than Hunter will in Houston.
Okay, so let's say Hunter Daniil has 16, then you're saying Grenard has like 12 and Van Ginkel has 5 or something like that?
Exactly.
Okay. All right, well, I hope that one comes true.
Yeah.
Because if they don't have something comparable or more, it would be like because an injury happened. I really can't see either guy just struggling because Grenard was so consistent last year, and then Van Ginkel with the Liz Frank injury. We shall see. I like this one. I just don't know that it's as bold as your first two because I would like come out and say that better happen.
Yeah, I was gonna agree with that. If you're letting Hunter walk and you're gonna quasi replace him with Grenard plus Van Ginkel, I know we're not including Dallas Turner in here, but
Mm-hmm.
those sack numbers, and again, sacking the quarterback, that's not the end all be all. It's kind of all about pressures. It's nice if you finish the sack, but um, I was just thinking of how often Brian Flores rushes the quarterback. I mean, that those kind of have to come. Um, per the FTN Football Almanac, thank you, Dustin. The Vikings rushed like 6 or more people at 26% of snaps last season, and that was like literally double the rate of the next closest team. So those sacks kind of have to come, or we have an issue at
Yeah,
that
I
rate,
think
at least.
yeah, I think for this one to be derailed, Amir, it'd have to be an injury,
Oh yeah.
a significant one, because
Okay,
otherwise
let
it
me go
will. It'll.
bolder. Let me say this then.
Mhm.
The Vikings as a team will have more sacks than they had last season. Let's
Oh,
say
okay.
that then.
Yeah, we'll add that one in. That one soups it
Mm.
up a little bit. Speaking of which, the fantasy FTN, the guy that wrote that, will be on this show Monday around noon. Aaron Schatz will join, and I'm going to pick his brain about the 2024 Vikings per the numbers. Amir, we got time for 2 more predictions. Let's hear the second to last.
Second to last,
Mm-hmm.
paired with my previous prediction. Write this. Keep this one in mind, guys. Dallas Turner will win Defensive Rookie of the Year. He'll win it, and I
Really?
think on top of that, uh, I don't know what week he'll start, so I don't think he'll win Offensive Rookie of the Year. But I feel confident saying JJ will finish top
Oh,
three
okay.
in Offensive Rookie years. I think Dallas Turner will win Defensive Rookie of the Year, and JJ will finish top three Offensive Rookie of the Year.
This one is intriguing to me because it feels a little bit like an outside or a fringe view to think McCarthy will play substantially, at least over the last couple of weeks, the way the talking has been. So you think McCarthy, he'd have to play at least half the season to get top 3 O'Roy votes. So you have him coming in sooner than like a redshirt year?
It depends. I think looking at the schedule, it seems prime for him to play against the Rams, that Thursday night game. That seems like the prime spot for him. Um, I'm still high on Darnold, so my next prediction will probably be a hedge of that bet. But I see a. This is more just a bet on how good Turner and McCarthy will be. So this is probably the best encompassing prediction I could come up with for both of them. But yeah, I can absolutely see a world in which McCarthy starts sooner. I know people keep making media members keep making out what KLC has said previously.
Hmm.
I don't think he's that as firm as what it seems. I think he's just like, okay, let's not rush him. Let's see what he knows. Let's see how he learns, and when he's ready, he's ready. And I think if you look at the schedule, I think Darnold will play well, but I hate to be a negative Nathaniel here. But if you look at the schedule heading into that pre-buy, then post-buy, sort of the last 3 games, sort of, it seems like a prime spot based on the record and based on how things go, that Thursday night game against the Rams in LA, that could be either that one or the game right after. I think the next one is against Detroit. One of those two games, that could be a prime spot depending on the record for JJ to come in.
That one, the
But
Detroit one, has been circled by a lot of folks. I think I asked this question to Vikings territory writers, and multiple said the Lions game. I think somebody like Jeff Diamond, somebody else notable predicted this game as his starting point. The thing about Darnold is I can already guarantee you here in like a week and a half and then this August, he's going to look great. This is what he does every year. He looks great in June, July, and August. And then the regular season starts, and we now hope that this is a geographical cure for the man, and then he'll blast off. But it's already a foregone conclusion the guy is going to look great. It's just a matter, to me, of how good McCarthy looks as well, because we're fixated a lot on who's going to start week one. That's fine. It can be Darnold. But if they go 0-2, 0-3, if McCarthy's ready, there's precedent for saying, all right, we gave the veteran guy his flowers. He sucks. We figured out that he sucks here too. I don't think they'd be hesitant to go to McCarthy if he's ready, if these benchmarks are met. And then the other thing before I hand it over to Brev on Dallas Turner, starter or not, I've come to the realization it really doesn't matter who's on the field for the first snap because of the way that Brian Flores uses his edge rushers. Both Van Ginkel and Turner are going to play a lot. And so it really doesn't matter to me if you look at starts for Turner. There's going to be enough fun for everybody to get in. And that's even like with guys like depending on who makes the roster in Patrick Jones or Jahad Ward or Gabriel Murphy. This is the perk of having some guy who blitz like nobody else. Brevin, what do you got on this one?
Yeah, I wanted to note on Dallas Turner. So with McCarthy, again, it's a foregone conclusion. We're probably not going to know just how good he really is until 2025 or 2026, most likely. Again, there's a world where we see McCarthy halfway through the season and he has a Stroud-like rookie year. He probably won't, but breaking news. With Dallas Turner, like this is a position where we're going to know how good Dallas Turner is pretty immediately. That's not saying like he can't be a late bloomer or something, but and he's not gonna like, come out and be automatically in his prime. That's not what I'm saying. But we're automatically going to find out like the first week of the season. And that's what's so awesome about this because I think we get stuck in the mindset of oh well, we gotta wait on McCarthy, but we don't think about the fact that week one in New York, we will see if Dallas Turner is going to be a gamer or not. He might not get 2 or 3 sacks. He might not be in the backfield every single play, but if he is generating pressures at a noticeable rate, we will know pretty quickly that we have got our next Danielle Hunter for a not Danielle Hunter contract and only 21 years old. Which
That's
would be, I don't know, it sounds pretty convenient to me. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, when I start to think about how sitting down to watch that Giants game on September 8th, I keep thinking about how different the team is going to
Oh, yeah.
feel. Mainly because Cousins is
Yeah.
gone. We're so used to this brand of football, or we're pretty sure we're going to be at least 500, and hopefully we're 10-7 and getting the dance. But just all of the new, that's why I tweeted today, everybody that left and everybody that came in, just the veterans. It's astounding how much turnover there was this offseason. And even dating back to when Kwesi Adofo-Mensah took over, it's been a complete roster rebuild. And just because it didn't happen right away in year one with every single player, we just don't really think that it happened, but it certifiably did. And the other thing on McCarthy not being Stroud, the only reason that I will say probably not going to happen is nothing that's anti-McCarthy. It's that doesn't happen to the Vikings. Like we don't let those kind of really, really cool things happen. I don't know what it is. And we will probably continue the streak of no rookie quarterback ever starting a week one game for the Vikings. It's just not the way we do it. All right. What's your last, what did you save the best for last, Amir? Is it Darnold, you said?
Yeah, hedging my bets, I predict this one. He's had really a lot of trouble with turnovers in his previous starts. In his starts with the Jets and Panthers, he's had a ton of turnovers. He will have a 2-to-1 or greater touchdown to turnover ratio
Wow.
in the games he starts.
That is bold because he's not a huge touchdown pass merchant. Like I think 18 or 19 tops is what he's had, and that might have been like year 2 in New York. On the other hand, he does fumble, not as much as like Justin Fields, but he does fumble. So this, by the numbers, next to that Hawkinson one, this might be the boldest. The thing, what were we talking about? We were hinting at, I don't know if it was Cousins, but the thing that just came to my mind is it's really weird to me how last year at this time, Sportsbook said the Vikings were supposed to win 7.5 games. And now that's what it's 7.5 now, like from, I think it's DraftKings. And it's really weird that we're in the exact same spot. So I don't know if they undervalued us last year, or they're overvaluing us this year, but it's like nothing changed in terms of the win forecast. But I digress. Let's get back to the take on Darnold. Brevin, what say you?
Yeah, you kind of hit the nail on the head. He's never been a huge touchdown passer, but he has been quite the turnover. Really, like the best case scenario you're hoping out of Darnold operating within, I know this entire episode is based on hot takes, but like operating within the plane of reality, Darnold, the best thing you're hoping out of him is like a Case Keenum 2017, either like 22 touchdowns and 7 picks or something. So really that's like the best case scenario Sam Darnold you're going to get. It of course ties back in with the McCarthy thing, and like I don't think Sam Darnold's going to get pulled at all this year unless like he is just like unplayable. He could it could be mid-season around that bye, or not bye week, but around that Detroit game, and he could be like 10 touchdowns, 6 picks. I don't think they're pulling him. And again, that lacks a ton of context, but I think all in all, unless Sam Darnold is like Nathan Peterman, well, that's extreme. If Sam Darnold, if they're just not able to stomach Sam Darnold snapping the football on the football field, I don't think we see McCarthy till like week 17, and we're officially out of the playoffs.
Yeah, if I had to bet on McCarthy when we'd see him, I lean more towards December. And I don't know what the situation will be, but that would be I don't want that to happen. I've said 100 times, I'd rather him just start right away, no matter what.
Yeah.
And I would take the lump at 3-14 if that's what it takes. I wouldn't care.
Oh, yeah.
I would enjoy watching the development, but that's not up to me. I think about a month ago, Kurt Warner was on something, NFL Network, and he talked about Darnold and said, this guy has the physical tools. Even now, people think that he sucks. He still has the physical tools. But if he can't stop the turnovers, then that will be his undoing. And I don't think that we talk about that enough. We talk about how he's never had these weapons. He's never had a supporting staff with O'Connell and McCown. Well, that's great. But if the bastard still fumbles, it's not going to matter like how good his reclamation is. We already did this with Nick Mullins, and most people don't think that he is great because of the turnovers. So I don't know that Darnold is that reckless, but the fumbles indeed are a problem. But Darnold is such a huge question mark going into this thing, because in our DNA, we're used to reclamation quarterbacks coming in this bitch and then playing great. That's what Vikings football is. But on the other hand, we watched Darnold with New York and then to an extent with the Panthers, and he just wasn't very good, at least per sustainability. All right, Amir, any closing arguments before we log off for the weekend?
Closing arguments. I think we none of us really know what's going to happen this year. I think this year, honestly, truly, this year is more like a gap year. But I think it could be a happy surprise. I think us Vikings fans and observers, all of us, we should just walk in, watch the movie, see how don't care about, don't listen to spoilers, don't think about what happened in previous times. Just say, you know what? Let's see how these young guys play. These new additions on defense. Let's see how Flores and O'Connell, these brilliant coaching minds can cook, and let's just see what happens here.
The only grievance I have with that is you get really panicky during Timberwolves games. you like the end is over, like this team sucks, but then you get really reinvigorated quickly. Is that just a Timberwolves thing for you?
No, it's Vikings thing too. I'm I'm trying my best, guys. I'm trying my best. Trust me, I'm better than I used to. But yeah, it's P, it, P, it, purple PTSD. It's a real thing.
Yeah,
That's all I can say.
yeah, those knee-jerk reactions get you sometimes. It happens. You tweet what some of us think when it's in those moments, especially for the Vikings. Like, you should see me, and I don't tweet this way. When a Vikings game starts to go off the rails, and a lot of you know the feeling, like against the Packers in 2022, like where you can just see the next play going disastrously, and then it happens, or a missed field goal. Like there's this, maybe like once every 2 years, there's one Vikings game that you're like, oh no, this isn't going to be one of those games.
Dude, during the Bills game 2 years ago, when Kirk Cousins threw that awful interception where he snapped and looked right at the defender and threw it, I was like, this is what this guy's always been. He's always been a fucking loser. We're not going to win shit with this guy. And then, of course, naturally. So it's up and down.
You turn into an anti-Kirker for those 5 minutes. It happens. All right, Ameer. We're going to have you back probably right around week 1. So we'll keep that communication pipeline open. I would appreciate you joining us from across the ocean. Brevin, anything to close us out?
Scotia Network coming out tomorrow.
Oh, boom. And then we got Aaron Schatz from ESPN on Monday. All right, Ameer, take it easy, man.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, later.